Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our chats with Emily, as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson contained in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 265, where ships of purple gently toss. When this one was published in 1891, it was just called Sunset, and it is another sunset poem. It is as well another four-line offering. Do you guys remember with some of her earlier poems that we pointed out that in poem 1063 she says, ashes denote that fire was, and I like that line to talk about her four-line or even shorter offerings. Just because these poems are short doesn't mean that there isn't fire there that we can enjoy. Now, what do we say about great poets? Well, they don't tell, they show. So we're obviously going to see her sunset poem here playing that game. Some have argued that Emily is an impressionist with words, and much like the impressionistic painters. And certainly we could play that game here as well. We're going to finish this poem. I think that, and I said this to you guys a number of times, I think T.S. Eliot learned a lot from his study of Emily Dickinson, even though he never really wanted to admit it. Let's see if that's true here. She says it this way for 4 lines. Where ships of purple gently toss on seas of daffodil, fantastic sailors mingle, and then the wharf is still. I love the way in which she'll play with purple. In 55 poems she plays with that color, and then daffodil in 12 poems. So she brings them together. The sunset as the sun is going down. Ships of purple. So ships, and I mean, what game is she playing with ships? Well, I think often when she's playing with ships, she's talking about the journey, the Odyssey. It takes us back to our study of Homer, where ships of purple gently toss on seas of daffodil. In other words, as the light is fading, the purple of the late afternoon as you know, sunset is happening. Then there's this phrase, fantastic sailors. A few scholars have suggested she's probably talking about the cloud formations. David Priest calls it the shapes of bits of clouds. It's a great way to say it. Fantastic sailors mingle. I love that this is her kind of key word. I told you guys, she builds her poems often around a single word. Mingle. And then the wharf is still. Her use of the word still is ubiquitous in her poems. Takes us back to poem 3 and her use of still there. And I cannot help but remind us the way in which T.S. Eliot loves to use that word still. We'll mention it in 3a in a moment. What is she actually doing in a little poem like this? I think for themes messages, I think she's arguing that nature is amazing and it's beautiful, it's stunning. It allows us to kind of be blown away by the power of nature, in this case the sunset. I love her use of the word still. We, of course, have commented many times in 303 how still is a fascinating word. Oh, you're still here. That is to say, you're not moving. I mean, you're here. Of course, that idea of duration is a part of this. And then there's that notion of to still be doing something, as in continuation. So the word can be used for both. At 3a, we mentioned T.S. Eliot. You'll remember at Bert Norton 2, at the still point of the turning world, neither flesh nor fleshless, neither from nor towards. At the still point, there the dance is. You'll remember that he says, except for the point, the still point, there would be no dance. And what's he say? There is only the dance. And in East Coker 5, some of our favorite lines, old men ought to be explorers. We must be still and still moving into another intensity. And you'll remember that he actually finishes with references to the porpoise. We've given full lectures on 4 quartets at learnstrong.net, and I very much recommend that you go back once you finish our study here with Emily and reread 4 quartets to just see the influences of Emily on, I think, the poetry of T.S. Eliot. Finally, at 3b, to own a poem like this, it's short and it's beautiful in the fact that it's so simple and yet so compelling. So I'll ask you, what for you is a sunset that you remember, and how would you describe purple and daffodil sunsets? I'm hopeful that she's pushing you to think about writing a few poems about sunsets yourself. Thank you.